This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and in case you guys didn't know, the BRICS nations just recently held their 15th annual summit as they are attempting to define their role in the global economic system. Now, BRICS, of course, stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and there are now over 40 other nations who want to get in on this. Their goal is to undermine the US dollar as a global reserve currency, and right now they have their eyes on gold and cryptocurrencies as a potential means of doing this. Now, as viewers of this channel are already well aware, CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies, are the enemy of the economy and free markets, and we must reject them lock, stock, and barrel. And we also know that precious metals like silver and gold are fantastic tangible assets that have a proven history of being a great hedge in troubling times, especially in the midst of a currency confidence crisis. So all this has me wondering, if the BRICS nations succeed, what is this going to mean for things like Bitcoin, which is decentralized? And more importantly, how is this going to affect the future of the precious metals space? Well, I'm certainly no expert on these matters, so earlier today, I spoke with someone who is. Check out this interview I did with Shane Williams of West Red Lake Gold. We talk about the BRICS nations and their plans to undermine the dollar. We get into what this may potentially mean for things like Bitcoin, which is decentralized, and more importantly, what this is going to mean for the precious metal space moving forward. So check it out. This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and it has been an interesting couple of weeks for the dollar and for gold, as the BRICS nations have just recently held their 15th annual summit, as they are now attempting to define their position in the global economic system. Now, it is believed they may be working on a new global reserve currency that would be backed by gold, but this certainly hasn't been announced yet. And some are speculating they may be looking into cryptocurrencies potentially as a means to undermine the dollar. But at any rate, either way, things are not necessarily looking good for the dollar right now. And what is this going to mean for the future of gold? Well, joining us on the line right now to discuss this and so much more is Shane Williams. He is the president and CEO of West Red Lake Gold. WestRedLakeGold.com is the website. Sir, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us here on Press for Truth. Now, viewers of this channel are pretty well aware of the idea that the dollar is essentially going to crash. It's not a matter of if, it's essentially a matter of when. Now, when we have these BRICS nations coming together, talking about this idea of undermining the global reserve currency that is the dollar, what do you make of that when these nations are coming together to do this? What are your thoughts on the BRICS nations these days?
Yeah, no, look, and there's a lot of push on the BRICS nations. You know, there's a lot of pressure to add more countries to the BRICS nation. I believe there's a queue of countries waiting to join. So this to me is a very strong sense, a negative against the dollar. As we all know, around the dollar, it's under a lot of pressure at the moment. And the more of these countries come together, the more formalization they look at for bringing another currency or moving to gold. These are strong tailwinds for the dollar, I believe. And over time, it's beginning to chip away at the power of the dollar. And it's all about confidence. At the moment, it's the global reserve currency. But as more and more countries move away from the dollar, I believe that confidence will get a lot of tailwinds, and that will be the demise of the dollar, I believe, over a long-term period.
Certainly, you know, yeah. Well, I do believe we are moving into a currency crisis with the dollar, and if they're talking about potentially creating a new one that might be backed by gold, I mean, what would that potentially mean for the gold space and the gold market moving forward?
Yeah, I think just to touch on that a little bit, because of the different currencies, all the different countries, all the different means, they need a rock solid to base it upon. And we believe that it's all going to be gold. And because it's a common denominator against all the countries, it's stored its wealth for thousands of years, as your viewers will know. It's a perfect medium of which to exchange against those countries. So if that happens, we all know about China. We don't really know the reserves of China, but China has been hoarding gold for a long, long time, we believe, and buying more. So I believe that if that happens, the price of gold will actually increase a lot, very low. We're talking way above the sort of level at the moment now. Central banks are buying gold, as you viewers probably know, huge purchases last year and this quarter this year has been huge purchases of gold by the central banks. And they're buying gold because of the confidence they have and potentially down the road of some new opportunity against the dollar. And so the price of gold in a scenario like that, even if it was announced, never mind in place, if it's announced that they're moving this way, price of gold will take a rapid increase, much, much higher, because it's based as a reserve currency.
I agree. I think just the simple announcement of such a thing would do remarkable things for gold, but they're now apparently discussing the idea of potentially looking into cryptocurrencies. I don't know if you follow Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency space at all, but what are your thoughts on if they started to entertain that idea moving forward?
Yeah, I think, look, to me, gold and crypto, you know, they're similar. They're alternatives to the dollar, effectively, or to the monetary system we have today. And so that also would be a headwind, actually a headwind for gold, I believe, because gold has a lot of characteristics that can support that sort of, you know, crypto has a lot of volatility. Gold has a very structured history of wealth management and store of wealth. So I believe that even if they went to the cryptocurrency, gold would have good headwinds as well down the road.
Well, the crypto
as a backup to that. Yeah.
The Bitcoin miners these days are running into some troubles, but in the gold space, how difficult is it or to find new mines? You know, I mean, is that something that's relatively easy, or is it still difficult?
No, new gold mines, any mines is very, very challenging. The time it takes to build a gold mine from zero to full production is probably nowadays 10 to 15 years. It takes a long time. Production has been going down over the last 10 years in the gold miners. The grade of the gold is getting much lower. So there is also headwinds against the value, the supply of gold. So you have this huge demand of gold going on with currencies, central banks, but you also have supply falling, which creates that big gap, which will be filled at some stage by the price. The price will have to increase to encourage new miners, to encourage the development. That's what's going to happen. The price is going to have to, there's a lot of people out there. One way to get the price higher is the supply goes down, price goes higher to just that. So that is another tailwind for the dollar and headwind for gold. So we've lots of headwinds going for gold in the future.
Indeed. And you are now the CEO of a brand new gold company. You just purchased $100,000 in stock. What can you tell us about this company, and why are you so bullish on it right now?
Yeah, look, one of the, gold is hard. The leverage to gold also, if you have gold moves up steadily every year. It's a store of wealth. But if you really want to get leverage to gold, the gold miners and the gold developers is where it is. They have high trajectories, very, very high trajectories, because as the price of gold moves up, the underlying commodity and the miners associated with that, and the developers in particular, have a huge opportunity to grow. Very, very hot increase in share price over a short period of time. So West Red Lake, the strategy is that we see the headwinds for gold, and we're positioning ourselves by getting into the development stage. West Red Lake is a gold mining company based in Ontario in Canada. Very high-grade gold systems there, very high grade. We've taken an asset, we've secured an asset, we've bought it for pennies on the dollar, effectively. We bought an operating gold mine that went into care and maintenance. We've taken it over, and we're putting it back into production over time. And the idea is, as that gold price moves, the leverage to share price equity moves in a huge upside on that.
And what's it? I mean, are there competitors in this space in Ontario? Like, what would it cost a competitor to start something like what you've done at the mill there in Ontario?
So there's a lot of mines ongoing in Ontario, be building, but it would cost to build that mine again that we've just purchased. It would cost somewhere north of $600 to $700 million Canadian dollars to build that into place. Plus, you also have to remember, Dan, there's a permitting process to go through. There's a construction phase to go. So it will be not only $600 to $700 but it'll be a 5 to 6 year process. And that's why we targeted an operating asset already in care and maintenance that we can buy it very, very cheap. So they're the combinations of what West Red Lake is about, and the opportunity to grow, buy more mines and grow bigger as that gold price is moving. Huge leverage to gold price.
Yeah, indeed. And I know you don't have a crystal ball or anything like that, but moving forward, there's so much things going on in the world. We have these tensions between Ukraine and Russia. You know, there's the potential of this, you know, kind of COVID lockdowns coming back and all that sort of stuff. What do you, like I said, you can't predict the future, but where do you see the price of gold going should things continue in the way they are?
And gold also is as you say, it's a move to safety. During 2009, when you have the crashes, the stock market is well overvalued, as your viewers might know. There will be a crash at some stage. There will be a recession, I believe, coming down. And on the macro political, there's wars going on. There's a global shift in power from the west to the east ongoing. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and gold provides that opportunity. And if that comes about, I believe it will. I believe gold will go over up to $3,000, $3,500. That's an ounce.
Yeah, and historically, when gold rallies, the stock ends up performing sometimes much better than the spot price offers. What do you attribute that to?
So, yeah, the gold moves, you know, gold moves quite slowly. It moves quite slowly, but the leverage comes from, and the upside comes from the miners, because they're all producing gold. The developers are developing, and the opportunity is as they get into production, you know, you're buying them very cheap from a stock perspective. You're buying them very, very cheap because they're not in production, they're developing. But as they get into production, they're producing cash flow, and the gold price is going higher. So their price of their key commodity they're producing is much higher. So that's where you get the leveraged upside you get Bitcoin-like leverage and growth in the stock and share price of these developers. And that's why we've picked developer to go. That's why West Red Lake is on that path forward.
Well, on that note, do you have any major milestones that you're hoping for the fourth quarter or maybe for 2024? Are there any major things you're looking forward to in the near future?
Yeah, we're currently drilling on the project at the moment, and we're getting very, very high-grade results, you know, for people who follow it. So over the next 6 months, we'll get lots of high-grade results, very, very high-grade over big meters, showing the potential gold in the ground. We have over 2 million ounces of gold in the ground already. And so as we go and develop that forward, we'll get lots of good results. After that, we're going underground, doing underground development and further drilling. So there'll be lots of key catalysts over the next 6 to 12 months, showing the potential of our project. People will really see the value of the gold we have in the ground, the potential. And as we de-risk this project moving forward, that's where I think there'll be huge upside and a lot of news flow coming from West Red Lake.
And, you know, I think the important takeaway for people here is that gold has historically been an excellent hedge in times of trouble. And, you know, when the economy is doing bad, it's like, look at what the central banks are doing. They're all looking to gold. So this is something we have to pay attention to. If people are just finding out about you guys for the first time, what are the tickers? What's the website? Where would you say is the best place for people to go if they want to learn more about you guys?
Yeah, so anyone can go to our website, westredlakegold.com. There you'll find all the information about our projects, investor relations, our team, what we're doing. You can also sign up for our newsletters and get regular updates of our press releases, become shareholders. We're also on the TSX-V, and our symbol is WRLG. We're also on the OTCQB, which is WRLGF, and we're also on Frankfurt at UJO. So these are lots of places where I think your investors might be interested to go to and potentially become investors to West Red Lake and enjoy the upside that we believe is going to come over the next 6 months.
Perfect. Well, I want to strongly encourage viewers of this channel to check out the links in the description below. Once again, Shane, thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us today.
It was a pleasure, Dan. Thank you very much.
Take care. We all want truth. will set you free, free, free.